recording here. So
All
let
right.
me just put a recording here. Record on this computer. Perfect.
All right. Awesome. We got some people still coming in.
Yes, we do.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey, Eric.
Hey.
How's the weather?
Great. Yeah, it's cooled off. We were 110 a week ago, down to like 77, and now it's only 97 degrees today.
Yay.
How about you?
It's nice and cloudy. We could
Yeah.
use that.
Yeah.
Nice and cloudy. Okay.
You're just east of that rain, huh?
Yeah. We survived.
Hey, Dr. Paris, will I be able to share my screen today? Yeah, I see share screen.
Let me put you as my co-host.
Okay, great. How you doing, Shelly?
So you should be able to.
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, co-host. There you go.
I had put myself on mute so that
I hear you. See what I did there? You said you had to put yourself on mute, and I said, I hear you.
I hear you.
That was pretty good, yeah.
Like a dad joke, right?
I know, dad jokes. My daughter just rolls her eyes.
Okay,
I think at 16, you're supposed to roll your eyes at everything, though. All right, Dr. Pierce, how are we doing? We got everybody?
Doing well. Yeah, we are getting people in. So we have Dr. Jean-Philippe, Dr. Pamela Westmoreland. We have Dr. Rafael Nadal, and Nicole's iPhone 13. So I'm trying to find what Nicole. Who is the Nicole?
Nicole's.
I am Dr. Wendy Warler's assistant.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Warler. How are you doing? Sorry, I just saw Nicole over there. Okay, so whenever you guys can, please just text me your license number, so you can actually even put it here in the chat. I don't mind. So this tomorrow when I start doing my C broker C hours, I can just find out everybody's so I can just give you guys my the C hour for tonight. So that'll be great. That'll be easier as well.
All right.
But text me on my cell phone, so just in case you guys don't have my phone, but you guys have. So 440-364-9308, and that's it. So no more housekeeping. So
yeah,
most of you guys already. Yes, sorry, Lynn, go ahead.
I'm sorry, call 1 second. What was the phone number? 403
440-364-9308. As a matter of fact, what's this chat? I can find this chat somewhere in here. So I can just write down so text me your license. 440-364-9308. Okay, there you go. Yeah, it's from Cleveland, I know. But anyways, it's me.
From Cleveland, Ohio. All right.
I know.
Dr. Pierce, what's today's topic? Remind everyone.
So today's topic, we're going to be talking about KPI. So key performance indicators, not index, because I keep confusing with index and indicators. So
that's right. Yeah.
That's a nice way to track. Yeah, it's a nice way to track your numbers on the office and find out where we are standing up regarding the patients collections, production per doctor, production per hygienist, and see which areas we have to improve. So, and Eric, I think most of us already know you, but just in case, it's Eric Vickery, our host as well for tonight. He's the president of the coaching of All Star Dental Academy. We have few coaches already, Shelly and Lynn. So, anyways, nice.
All right.
Okay.
Should I take it away?
Yes, you may.
All right. Coaches and I are going to run with this. So just look, we love meeting with everybody every couple of months. That we just love working with Dr. Paris. And I said, you know what? Let's do some giving back to your referral sources and see if we can bless their businesses. And so tonight, I want to come from the standpoint of when we look at numbers, what does that mean we should do? Okay, I see a number on a screen. I see a number on a spreadsheet. What the heck does that mean? So I got Lynn. She's our hygiene coach. She's going to talk about perio, what she sees on the KPI tracker from the standpoint of a hygiene department. And we got Shelly. I'm just going to show a tracker, and I'm going to ask Shelly what she sees from a collection standpoint and from a doctor provider standpoint, doctor department standpoint. And we're just going to talk about, hey, when we see this number high, we see this number low, what system do we put in place here? And how do you correct it? How do you improve the number? It's frustrating for us as coaches to hear people say, oh, yeah, your production per patient's too low. You need to increase that. Well, how? What do you do? So yes, so we're going to talk all about that. Dr. Paris and I, we review trackers for both of his practices every month. We look at trends. We call these lag measures. These are things that have happened in the past. They're not lead measures. Lead measures are like having a scorecard. I'm going to ask for 4 referrals today. I'm going to ask for 2 Google reviews. I'm going to make sure I spend time talking to 3 practices today, whatever it is. Okay. So lead measures are a scorecard. These are lag measures in the past. They completely show us coaches an insight into the practice and how it's performing and what we can do to support it. So Lynn, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to just ask you some questions. Then I'm going to show a tracker, but we're just going to do some discussion right now. So sure. Lynn, first question, when you look at a KPI tracker with me or with your clients, and you look at that, especially that hygiene department, you look at those numbers, what sets off the alarms for you? What do you see as the biggest concerns when you look at numbers?
The biggest one I see is the periodontal percentage.
Okay.
The reason, and let me tell you why, and the reason is because that periodontal percentage affects a lot of the rest of the KPIs that we're going to talk about, including production per patient, production per hour, and open times. Yeah,
so true. I'm going to show those columns, actually. It's so true. So when we see a low perio percentage number in a practice, that tells us some information that's going on. So give us some statistics, being a hygienist.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm going to brag on Lynn a bit. She has her MBA. She was a hygienist for many, many years. And as soon as she retired, we said, okay, you're an all-star. You're going to coach some offices with us. So she knows what she's talking about. She has an amazing hygiene perio manual. What do you call your hygiene coaching manual there, Lynn?
It's called growth. Growing your practice with lead hygiene.
That's right. Growing the practice through hygiene. And I love that it's the backbone of the practice. If the hygiene's doing well, we know the doctor's going to do well. So what is the perio percentage supposed to be? Why is it supposed to be that? Just give us some background on.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Perio percentage. Okay, before we talk about perio percentage, let me give you some statistics.
Okay, sure.
So according to the ADA, 2 out of 5 adults has perio. Okay, and translated to percentage, and it's 47% for adults 30 years and older.
Okay.
And over 70% for adults 65 years and older.
Okay.
Not only that, but these the perio situation, we all know as doctors and clinicians, that perio is associated with some of the more serious systemic diseases that our patients have. So looking at those, it behooves us to really look at our perio percentage and make sure we diagnose these patients.
That's right. So when we look, and I'm going to throw another statistic out there. What's the percentage of people that don't even go to the dentist?
Like 50%.
50%. Yeah. Half the people don't even go to the dentist. So if you're dealing 50%. With averages, let's say 50% have gum disease. What percentage should our practice be of perio? So what's a healthy number of perio in our GP practice?
So if your practice is 30% of perio or more, that will be a healthy practice. See, imagine, at least 47%, 2 out of 3 have perio, then behooves is like at least that many in your practice.
So reasons why we might see it low, like a ton of kids in the practice, they're scratch practicing, a ton of new patients in hygiene maybe. What's something else that might lower the perio percentage in a practice, justifiable or not?
Justifiable or not, okay. One is inconsistent probing.
Okay.
So before we can diagnose, you have to probe, right? You have to hold that probe in between the patient's gums. And without probing consistently, we can diagnose. So what we usually do, and I have stopped doing this, is doing spot probing. I know many hygienists have a hard time having their perio done consistently because of sometimes time management. There's other things that we have to accomplish, right, in that 1 hour, and whatever we can get rid of, we can. Like, okay, I've already probed this patient last 6 months ago. Why should I do that today?
So really getting away from a spot probe and really getting into a full mouth periodontal evaluation every single time they're in, and calling that number out to an assistant, to an admin person who's charting in Dentrix or whatever it is, so that patient's hearing that diagnosis. Is that
correct?
Okay.
Okay. And the other thing that is a problem is sometimes, as clinicians, we want to please our patients and we want them to hear everything positive, right? But sometimes we have to tell them some not so good news. And again, we want to please them, but then we have to say these things, and there's a fear of rejection, like, oh, okay, doc, it doesn't hurt anyway, so let's not take care of that.
Or they don't just tell the hygienist just doesn't tell the patient, they go do a super prophy.
That's all. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I got to tell a story. So working with a client, long time client, had a great hygienist. She decides to go home and be with the kid, had a baby, and totally understandable. Go a while without a hygienist, in this economy, find a hygienist. Before I can get my hands on her, she starts doing exactly what you're saying, which is perfect. She's calling out the perio, but she missed permission statement. And then she says, this is the quote, "I'm so sorry that we didn't tell you this before." Diagnosing perio now that supposedly had been there before under our watch, kind of throwing ourselves under the bus, creating a lot of frustrated patients. So how should, I have my own thoughts here, but you're the pro. How should we, and you hear this, why didn't my last dentist tell me this? Right? Or you're the same hygienist going along all the way, and the patient's aging and getting older, and all of a sudden that perio develops and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to deliver the bad news. So how do we deliver that bad news when they're changing of the guard, when they're a new patient, when they're just a longstanding patient who's aging into perio? How do we convey that?
So first of all, to get rid of that approval addiction, I would ask for permission. I'd say, I would like to give you every information, everything that I could see here that warrants your attention. If I have that permission, and you have permission to, just tell me how you feel about that. Okay, that's first. Permission statement. Permission statement. Okay. And the next thing I want to do is I'll explain what perio is. Perio is a disease that you don't treat, and it comes on depending on your situation, your immune system, how your immune system is. Like if you have any a new diagnosis for a disease. I had a patient, let me tell you, I have been seeing her for years and years and years, very healthy person, and all of a sudden she came in and I probed, and I was shocked that she has some bone loss and some inflammation pocket measurement. And I go like, whoa, what's going on here? And then anyway, I checked her health history changes, and I put it together. She was diagnosed with osteoporosis, and she's taking also a hormone for her. She's in that stage of her life that she's in menopause, and those changes affect your health. And also, these things come on depending on the situation that you have in the oral environment. And again, perio, like Dr. Pierce would tell you, it's not curable. You have to just maintain perio. If you don't cure it, you maintain it, just like diabetes. You just make sure that you don't have the bacteria and the condition for the bacteria to die.
I wrote down, as people are aging, this is what I wrote down: high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, gum disease. All of these things are something that you have to manage as you get older. You're now in that place over 40, right? Even over 30, over 40, where your body is sending you a signal saying, this is a concern, it needs to be addressed, or tooth loss is coming, and conveying that to them. Okay. So numbers that concern you on the tracker. We're going to look at a tracker. Perio percentage. Perio percentage is high. I agree. It's so connected to everything else. What's another number that concerns you in the tracker when you look at numbers, KPIs in hygiene department?
Okay, I look at production per patient.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the average production that you get of value with your patient interaction.
What's the goal?
That's the goal is industry standards, $175.
175. Yep. Okay. 175 per patient. Got it. Okay.
Per patient. Okay. And that varies depending, this is what affects this KPI, is the procedure you do per patient per appointment.
Got it. And your fees for that, are they dictated by insurance or something? Yeah. Don't get me fired up on insurance. Yeah.
Okay. Not yet. Right, hold on. Okay, so look at your treatment when you see your patients. Look at what you do when you're seeing your patient, your hygiene patient. So you take the X-rays that goes in there. Taking X-rays. Are you charging for 6 X-rays or doing 4 X-rays? What about panel? Okay, got it. And how are your fees? Are your fees on track? Yeah. Right. And your adjunct procedures, is it being done? Like, do you recommend fluoride to your patients? I mean, I would recommend fluoride for perio patients because of recessions, older patients who have recessions and who have issues with gum disease could benefit from that. Yeah. And patients who have a crown and a lot of restorations can benefit from that. Absolutely. So it's not only hygiene. I mean, children, especially, adults who have systemic condition like GERD. You're prone to getting acids in your mouth. So so those things go into your production per patient. Now, bottom line is more dentistry per patient and per hour. Production per patient, and then what Trump said is production per hour. And if the production per hour is lower than per patient, what does that mean when that happens? What do we see? You have open time. Times. Yeah, because we're 1 patient per hour in hygiene typically. So if you're producing 175 a patient, you should be producing 175 per hour, right? Okay. Yeah. Typically. Now you mentioned another KPI there, Eric. Yeah. That is open time. Yeah. Okay. So open time is a production killer. Yeah. And in our benchmarks, we want to see no more than 5% of our time is. So a hygienist works 110, 120 hours. So lost time in that 5 to 6 hours a month range, about 1.25 per week open time in hygiene. That's what we're shooting for. And we do see that. Last study club, we talked about cancellation. So lack of urgency value. They don't understand and respect your schedule. So those two things we dealt with last time. But one of the things that you mentioned earlier that my ear tuned in on is to fix open time and hygiene. Increasing your perio percentage will also do that. Okay. Correct. Yeah. Right. So open time is increased perio decreases open time. That's right. Increased perio will decrease open time because urgency goes up on what it's not just a cleaning anymore. Okay. No. All right. Now go ahead. No, go ahead. And then with perio patients, you don't only make one appointment, you usually make several appointments at a time. That's right. Which includes, maybe 4 quadrants of scaling or even sextants. I tell my patients, hey, don't stop at 4 quadrants. I might need more. So I keep that open, right? Sure. And then you add this evaluation, the 6-week evaluation. I say, well, doctor's not going to start with your operative procedures like your crown and bridge if your gums are not healthy. So he cannot start that until you see him for the 6-week evaluation. That's good. So that's good. Those things need to be in the schedule. Yeah. And that will populate your schedule and decrease open time. Yeah. I love hearing from Lynn and I share a couple clients, love hearing from their hygiene department, looking to her for advice on how do I increase my perio? How do I talk to my patients? How do I get them enrolled in perio? We talk about planting the perio seed, but also what I had I think I was bragging with the coaches earlier this week. I had a first-time client not first-time client. They were their first team meeting this week.
And in that hour, we realized we turned one of these systems on that you just mentioned to hygiene practice. We grew the practice $105,000 per year in just a 30-minute meeting that we talked about. And just one of those systems you're talking about, which was x-rays. Now, it's not all about money, but this is a huge win-win for the practice. It really frustrates me when doctors go buy a pano machine and I go, great, production's going to go up. And then they just give away panos. There's just no charge, no charge, no charge. Well, I'm billing it the same day I do the FMX. Well, that's a problem. That's a problem. You don't have to do that if you do what Lynn just talked about. So if you can remember this is really important. If at your new patient visit, instead of billing out an FMX, get rid of that code. Do not use your FMX code ever again. Take as many x-rays as you want, but in your software, create a multi-code, 4 bite wings, first PA, additional PA. And usually that adds up, maybe less than $5 of your FMX. So you charge for 6 x-rays. So if Shelly's my patient, I say, Shelly, just so you know, in our office, we'll never charge you for more than 6 x-rays at a time. And I can go take as many as I want at no charge. If I want an FMX, great. But I put in 4 bite wings and 2 PAs. And then know this, if it's insurance-based practice, if you need to play the insurance game, Shelly's got insurance, 32 days later or more, I can take a pano and it will be covered by insurance. I dare say 99% of the time, if not 100. So, we learn to play the insurance game if we need to. However, now Shelly's on an annual basis. She's having charged 6 x-rays every year. This is a minimum every year, 6 x-rays. And then 6 months from that, pano. And then every 3 to 5 years, she has a pano done. A third of your practice having a pano done, if you have 2 hygienists, is about $35,000 a year. If you have 2 hygienists 4 days a week, it's about, I'll just do per hygienist. It's about $17,000, $18,000 a year, just adding 2 PAs once a year to your list. So I can take an FMX every year if I want. I can take as many x-rays as I want, but I'm only going to charge them for 6. Now, what Shelly quickly pointed out to me was I also missed an opportunity at growing it more, because at that next hygiene visit, you can take more PAs if you want to, 2, 3, 4, charge for that if you want. That'll grow the practice even more. You got to have really good verbal skills. And I believe in phasing in improvements. And so I would start with the 6 x-ray system. Do not use your FMX code anymore. And you'll watch that production per patient grow. Let me show you. So Lynn, I'll show you the hygiene department. And then Shelly, I'll show you doctor department here. They haven't seen this one yet. So I'll surprise them with some data and we'll see how they do. So this is, this looks like we're gonna have a special guest. All right. This is the hygiene department of a practice. Now, Lynn, we were talking about a couple of things. The first thing we're talking about is that perio percentage. And what do you see is happening here? What occurred?
Whoa, it needs help.
Okay, so it started out low single digits, and look, once we identified it needs help, look what happened. What did we do to the number?
It increased double.
Yeah, we doubled that number on the number of perio patients. Now, the reason this practice had a low perio percentage was because it was seeing a ton of new patients. What you don't know is this is 2017. This practice started in 2016. Look at the number of new patients they were seeing per month. They were averaging 42 new patients a month. That's too many for one doctor. However, it was a scratch practice in 2016. So it needed that growth and the doctor needed to do procedures. So they were seeing a ton of those patients in hygiene. Now, we went from 51 open hours down to 23 open hours as we doubled that perio percentage. So you can see what Lynn's talking about there. All right. What else do you see here, Lynn?
The open up per hour.
Yeah, right here, 123 per hour and 154 per patient. Yeah. Yeah. So this is low, right?
And that has to do with the perio percentage and the broken appointments. Yeah.
Yep. When you see a low production per patient, remember a few things. One, is perio percentage low, below that 30% threshold? Are we doing 6 x-rays or just 4 bite wings? Are we using fluoride usage? Are you doing irrigation? I'm trying to think of some other things you mentioned there. Laser. That's right. Yeah. And then the hourly, why is the hourly lower than the production per patient, Lynn?
Well, because of open times.
Yeah. Yeah, right here. You've got open time right here. So this practice, some quick math here, but about 10, It's averaging about 15% open time. So we're going to cut that in a third. Now, the reason this open time is listed here is because actually in this practice, this was never filled time. Because again, it's a growing practice and we had to hire 2 full-time hygienists and have open time. It's just the way it worked out in this practice. And so we knew as a loss leader, these hygienists were willing to work as assistants with the doctor when they were in downtime. So there's some hidden information here that you're not privy to, but so don't freak out, Lynn, when you see the open time. Okay. We did get it there, by the way.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lynn. That's good stuff. So let's keep going on KPIs. So Shelly, you tell me what would you like to look at first?
Well, I normally start in hygiene, but since you already started there, that's awesome. Let's head over to, I like to look at the month, the most current month, but because I'm constantly looking at broken time.
Yeah.
But I do see here that the practice is at 28% in hygiene production.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's good. And it stayed that way, even though the hygiene production went up, which means that doctor's production must have been correspondingly going up as well.
Can I throw you a curveball?
Sure.
Somebody asked me one time, what should be in this column? What percentage of your practice should be hygiene percentage? And I was like, there is no number it should be. Because if you've got a doctor, let's say your hygiene department's, we want $20,000 a month per hygienist. So $1,250 a day times 4 days, right? So think of it that way. For every 1 day a week they work, right? We're looking at $5,000 a month. So if they work 4 days a week, it's $20,000 a month. So if we get this to 40,000, that's ideal. Let's say they were at 40,000 even, okay? That would drive this number up higher, right? Higher percentage. However, we want our doctor to produce as much as possible per month. So let's say doctor was producing $200,000 a month. That would really that would put this down, 25% or whatever it is. So I tell clients all the time, I'm going to look at that percentage of production. I'm going to make sure it's maintaining or something, but it might drop as long as the production stays at that 40,000 range. I'm happy. Is that in sync?
Yes. Yeah. And that's the other thing that can play into that. I found some doctors will charge like the exam under the hygienist. Some of them are like, that's my production. So that plays into when you're looking at production per hour for hygiene, you need to know the full picture and how each office is actually billing those. Right. But I just like that it's consistent, which then stayed, if the production is going up in hygiene, so is the production in
Yes, I like that too. Agreed.
Yeah.
What are these numbers right here? Do you want to explain what we're looking at here for production total and collection total?
I would love to. So obviously production, everybody knows what production is. It's the amount that we're billing out. Hopefully our collection is very close to that, if not, depending on insurance and everything. So you've got monthly collection column T. Sorry, I'm so used to being able to use my mouse.
I know. You're having to.
I'm like pointing. If everybody can follow my pointer, that I'm hoping Eric is picking up what I'm pointing at.
Yep.
Column T, so that's your monthly collection, and then your cumulative. So you want to make sure that they're very close from one to the other.
Yeah.
You've got, what do we got?
These are adjustments, credit adjustments added to it, and in this practice, these are debit adjustments added to it. So this is gross production and gross collections.
So for this one, you're at 1.349 compared to 1.357.
Yeah.
That means they collected more than they produced, which means that they made up some ground from previous AR.
Yeah, or wrote it off, one or the other in that call. That's right. And so they were at 98% collection rate, and they had some write-offs for their in-office membership plan. This practice, actually, their rule for being in network, I know this practice really well. In fact, they just dropped a plan. If the insurance company is not going to be within 10% of their fee, they're not playing ball. And they tell the insurance company that, and they just resign from it and move on and explain to their patients really well. They do a great job at communicating this. So sometimes they're in network with plans, sometimes they're not. They cannot collect any more than this.
Right. Yeah. The percentage, I want to make sure that we're staying within 98%, 98 to 100% between adjustments and collection.
Yeah.
So right down there's the goal.
That's the one. Yep.
Somebody's collection is 80%. I'm not overly concerned until I look at adjustments as well. Add those two percentages together. I don't love it when it's 80% collection. That means they're writing off a significant amount, but I need to be able to identify and account for it.
And you can see this practice, real money, real production, they're only 30,000 behind. they're right in the ballpark. That's their 98%. So what we start to look at and trending is if collection starts to fall behind, if collections falls behind production and we're not writing it off, what does that mean, Shelley?
You've got outstanding insurance claims, or you're not collecting copays.
AR problem, something's going on. And then we have to get into this right here and understand that your AR goals are right here. So I really don't care too much about the dollar amount per se. I mean, I could, but what you want to look at, guys, is that whatever your total AR is, that 85% or more of it is in current and less than 5% in all the other three columns. We would love 0 here. So I know Dr. Pires has almost a 0 AR. He's working from an insurance, like prepay insurance fee for service type practice. So that AR is very, very, very low.
The only time I give an office a pass is on the 90+ is if they have a lot of ortho.
Yeah.
Payment plan it.
Yep.
But then they better have some firm financial arrangements in place in order for me to allow that to keep going on.
Yes, I agree. That's a whole nother financial arrangement. It's a whole nother conversation we could do, Dr. Pires, anytime you want. All right, I'm gonna scoot over here then, Shelley. I imagine you want to look at doctor. This is our doctor section of our tracker right here.
So we're looking at, starting over here, we've got the number of hours that the doctor is working and then the number of patients. I don't always love if that is equal. That means they're seeing a patient an hour. Hopefully, depending on a procedure, I like to see longer appointments. That means they're doing more on one patient versus room turnaround back to back to back to back. So I'm okay with fewer patients in the number hour ratio.
As long as that production per hour gets to the number we want. And just some background, Shelley, what you can see here is we decided, and this was a year into the practice, we decided to add an associate.
Yep.
I see that. And then all that did was increase our open time. Again, a loss leader. We knew that's what we wanted, and we knew we were going to pay to do that. So hopefully you can see
adding the hygiene though, because that started to go up. Hopefully this doctor gets
number of patients. Yeah. And now that doesn't exist. It just took some time, but you can see production per patient was at 544 when it was just primary doctor. It went down to 488 because usually baby doc comes in and they're not getting the same level of case acceptance per patient.
Right.
Yep. Okay, good. So just so everyone understands, 500 per hour is at All-Star. Our recommendation is that you're 500 per hour and 500 per patient or north of that. And as Shelley pointed out, we'd love to see the per patient much higher than that by seeing fewer patients doing more dentistry, getting healthier faster. So when you're losing, we'll call it 50 hours a month at 500 per hour, right? You can see how that adds up really quick. Even at 15 hours a month, this extrapolates to almost $100,000 a year of lost time. So you can see our goal is to get them below that 5% mark. And that's what we were really getting that done. And then all of a sudden decided we're going to add an associate. And in this practice on this tracker, I decided to count every open time, whether it was unfilled or canceled, because I wanted to know opportunities and how quickly we're going to fill up the associate's time. So that's how we did that one, Shelley. Okay. Anything else you see on here, Shelley, to point out?
Let's see. Thank you for the backstory because I
you're going, what happened here? Let me ask you a question. How does one, this now just keep it to a couple minutes here. You don't need to go too far into this, but how does one improve their production per patient? So we talked in hygiene, perio, fluoride, 6 x-rays, all that. What's the coaching hack for a office to say, we want to do more dentistry per sit down, more dentistry per visit? How do we increase our production per patient?
It starts in the hygiene, and I would say 95.5.
Yeah. So explain, go ahead. Cause we talked about that a little bit. No, you can go longer than that.
95.5. So we have to focus 95% of our time on the conditions, help our patients understand what's going on in their mouth, and then determine, are they concerned with that? And if they're not concerned with that, you're not going to close the treatment.
That's right.
You have to be able to show them what's going on by pictures, by involving them, by having, if you have an iTero, if you have different things, showing them, not in dental terms, but in conditions, and then ask them how they feel about that. Are they concerned?
Yeah.
And involving them in that exam.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is the people don't buy a solution to a problem they don't perceive to have. And so we are in sales. We've talked about this on this forum before with Dr. Pires. We are in sales. It's how we sell that makes us comfortable. We're not in pressure sales. We're not going to push people to do something. Instead, we're going to present them with a concern and give them an experience wrapped around the 95.5 rule case acceptance system, which is sell the condition and the consequences. They truly understand it. Okay. So
if I can get a patient to flat out ask me, what do we need to do about it? Say, that's a great question. What would you like to do about it?
Yeah.
What do you feel like is appropriate?
Yeah.
How concerning is this to you? And if they say, well, I don't like it, great. I have suggestions. Let's talk more about that. Or I'm not the doctor. I don't have the DDS after my name, but I'm sure my doctor is going to have lots of suggestions for you.
So here's how this translates for those joining us. What your team will hear is this is, oh, Shelly, I'm so glad you called me. I was just getting ready to call you. You know what? That tooth, it's not even bothering me. I'm going to go ahead and wait. Okay. That's one way it shows up. So they don't perceive value or need behind it because we said you need a crown to them. And when you tell someone they need a crown, you're pressure selling. Instead, it would sound like this. You know, Shelly, I'm really concerned about this tooth that has a fracture in it with a deep decay, has that old metal filling in it. And I'm concerned because that's what's going to lead to a toothache, which would require a root canal. How concerned are you with stopping that process from happening?
Wait, did you just say a root canal?
Yeah. Then to get our attention, right? I'm not going to scare her, but get our attention. Now, the trick on production per patient is to not do that for one tooth. The trick is to start with the whole mouth and say, how few visits can we take care of this patient? How quickly can we get them healthy? Now, balance, how long can they keep their jaw open? Balance the age of the patient. Are you going to do sedation or not? Balance all of those things. I'm not saying to force feed patients a bunch of dentistry and you have to sit in our chair for 2 visits and we're going to do 28 teeth. That's not what we're talking about. Shelly, what have you seen that takes a practice from focusing on one tooth to maybe quadrant to maybe arch? What have you seen be the difference in case acceptance there? Something that we could give everyone today to improve their case acceptance per patient?
One of the big things is pictures. I mean, truly, if you're able to put pictures in front of a patient, ask them if there's anything that they've not seen or not noticed, anything that they're seeing today that they've not noticed before, they'll point out the treatment. And then just asking if they would like to have more done in one visit. I had a doctor, he would go tooth by tooth. And I said, just do me a favor, just ask the patient how many times they want to come see you.
That's good. Yeah.
And he called me the next day and he said, I just booked 2 quadrants, which was a big step for him to focus in on a quadrant because he had been so used to just doing one tooth at a time.
Yeah. That's so true. So let me ask you this. When a patient says to you, you know, they hear all these concerns in the 95.5 rule, they hear all these problems and they hear these concerns, they'll say to you something like this. Oh, well, where do I need to start? Which one do I need to start with? Because their impression is, if you hear this, their impression is, oh, I've got all the time in the world. I haven't been to the dentist in 4 years. Nothing's been bothering me. So I must have another 4 years to take care of all of these. Now, what do we know about the last quadrant you deal with in 4 years? What's going to happen by that time?
It's as least extensive and least expensive as it's ever going to be today.
For all of it. And yeah, so how do you get a patient's mentality to shift from one tooth to the full mouth when they're saying, where do I need to start? How do you address that?
So again, going back to the ultimately, what is it that they want? What do they want to avoid?
Yeah.
Can I share a story of a patient?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a patient.
Protect the innocent here.
Yeah, I'm not using anything. I'm not throwing her name out there. But I had a patient sit down across the table from me and she said, I just want to do what I have to do. And so we stepped back and I had another conversation with her, just a person to person. And I said, now, before this, you mentioned you have had a root canal every year for your birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm tired of it. I've had a root canal for my last 4 birthdays. I said, how many more birthdays do you want to have root canals for? She said, I'm done with it. I just want to get what I have to have done. Now, I could have heard that as I only want the one tooth taken care of that's bothering me today. But because we dove in a little bit further, what we ended up doing is scheduling, not all of it at once, but we ended up doing $40,000 worth of work in this lady's mouth.
Wow.
And we had the financing in place and we were able to do that, but it was because she didn't want to continue having root canal after root canal, which is the direction she was headed. We saved many teeth from having extensive treatment that wouldn't have been needed. So it's better for the teeth. It's better for her. She's not having the pain. Financially, not the best thing, that not exactly what she wanted, but 3-4 years from now, what she spent would have been, we know where things are going, would have been even more put into her mouth.
Wow.
So
talking, effective communication, asking questions, all of that plays a role. I love the analogy, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but I'll just share mine. I use a 2-story home. You know, my wife being from New England, a lot of these colonial style homes, you see this like 2 windows, 2 windows, 2 upper, 2 lower. So 2 upper, 2 lower. And I just say, that's a great question, Shelly. I really appreciate you wanting to get this taken care of. It's hard for me to answer where to start. And here's why. I'm looking from the outside in at your home, right? You have two bedrooms upstairs, 2 bedrooms downstairs. I'm looking at this house and I can see in the windows and I can see lots of white, beautiful drapes in there, right? These white teeth. And I see candles about to burn out. I see sparks in every room. And you're asking me, which room should I go into and put the fire out in? Well, if I go up into one room and then the next day I go in another room, well, it's going to be 4 days before I get to the bottom. What's that bottom room going to look like in 4 days? It's going to need to be remodeled. And to save you money from remodeling a whole room or a whole floor of your home, my suggestion is we put out the fires all as quickly as possible. And oftentimes I hear patients say, well, I'll do that one this year. I'll do that one next year. Well, by the time we get down here, there's a lot of problems and a lot of expenses to deal with. So fine doing it that way. But if you'd like to take care of it where it actually saves you money up front, we can talk about that. Yeah. Which would you prefer? And then I give them a choice. So that's a analogy to use if you like it. Okay. Yeah. All right. Perfect. Let's do this. I'm going to show everybody some KPI numbers. And I'm going to show you from an insurance. This is a client that we work with at All-Star Dental Academy for a lot of years. I'm going to show you numbers here. Now, for some of you, it might look like, can you guys see that okay? Yep. Okay. For some of you, you might look at this and go, well, what am I looking at? This is our yearly summary tab. And I actually read it right to left, but it does, this is 2019. And it does, I started with this client in December of 2019, and they just gave me their monthly production. And I'm showing you where I started with them. And they came to us and said, you know, we're stuck. We're collecting $77,000 a month and we cannot grow. We're just stuck at this point. What can we do? And so by looking at their numbers, I'm not going to show you 2020 numbers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, if you look here, I'm not even going to show you 2021. I'm going to show you 2022 numbers. And so what we did, we looked at this practice and said, what's keeping us from getting there? Why is your production per patient at 120? Why is it so low? What's happening? And come to find out, there was a lot of insurance infringement on increasing their fees. And so we painstakingly, periodically over 2 years, went through the process of helping them get out of this. Now you can see they were collecting 90% of what they produced, not bad. And at almost $1 million produced, almost $1 million collected. 2 years later, let me show you what it looks like. We now are at 1.3 million, both produced and collected, collecting 99%. By removing insurance, we produced and collected more. In a very, very insurance-driven state and area, this happens to be in Utah, okay? And how did we do that? Well, we went through and looked at, okay, how do we improve production per patient? How do we improve production per hour? We had to get away from insurance limiting the fee. The real difference became where doctors started finally realizing how to improve this. And I can tell you, this was last year. I can tell you this number now is north of $600 for this doctor. He's one of our mastermind members, and he's really adheres to what we teach and train. And they are using that 95-5 rule that Shelly and Lynn were just talking about to improve case acceptance. And now this practice is going to have 20% growth this year, post-insurance changes and implementing all the system. Now, the biggest reason I point this out to you is this was a 3-year project, okay? A 3-year project. I mean, they've invested money in All-Star. I don't know, what, Shelly, $1,200 a month for what we teach. We have everything we teach, $1,200 a month, so that they could grow. Let's look at what this collection is. They're growing now. They're at $110 a month. They were at 76. So they're growing $34,000 a month to spend $1,200 a month. I think we would all do that deal. Now, they're not the exception. I think they're the more of the actually what we do, the average of what we do. And so I show this to everyone to say, look, by looking at numbers, right, what you measure, you improve. We simply put in a tracker and said, we can improve this. Now, Lynn has been on their radar for quite a while, and Lynn will be the next phase of what they improve. And Lynn, you can unmute yourself. Lynn, why do you want to get your hands on this practice?
I see that production perio percentage.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sorry, I'm speechless. There's room to grow.
So Lynn and I have been talking about this practice for a while, and they keep going, okay, we're gonna implement a perio program. We want to work with Lynn. We're gonna do that. And so we are gonna launch it, and you can see how their production per patient has hit that ceiling, Lynn, right there. We've really worked on implementing systems to decrease open time. You can see it taking effect. We've worked on a lot of things, and that is the next thing for them to work on. I don't know that it matters, cart before the horse, perio first, perio last. I don't think it matters, but just happens to be in this practice, we're working on perio last. So I expect this to, man, can you imagine if we got that to 30%? The problem with this practice is busyness prevents successfulness. They're so busy, they have no room to put any patients that they don't even want to sell perio because where am I going to put them? Where am I going to put scaling root planing, Eric? So we have to deal with that issue as well. Okay. So I wanted to share just a different viewpoint on the tracker and what we're looking at. Dr. Pires, I figure we could do a 10, 15 minutes of Q&A for people to ask about numbers. What does this number mean? You know, they're looking at something in their practice. We didn't even get into PPO trackers. We didn't get into new patient call trackers. We didn't get into profit and loss, those types of things. There's a lot more numbers that we look at with practices, but figured let's open it up for people who have questions now, and let's see if we can help them out.
Okay, so let's go ahead.
Yeah, hit us with it.
Hit us. I mean, a perio office is a little bit different because we don't do too many crowns.
Yeah.
Especially my office because I don't do too many scale root plannings, so my numbers are completely off, and Eric knows that. So Eric has been my coach for a while, anyways. So it's funny because I do LANAP, laser assisted surgery. One of the more inflammation, the better results. So pretty much, I need to have the patient kind of bleeding. So in other words, when I see a patient coming to my office, most of the patients, they already have a scan replan anyways. Great. A couple of months ago, so the patient has some inflammation, so I can go direct to the point and go the laser, the LANAP surgery anyways. So that's why my production is a little bit less per patient for my hygiene department, because pretty much my hygienist, she's just doing perio maintenance, so support periodontal therapy, prophy.
Yep.
And sometimes, of course, a fluoride application.
Yep.
So very rare. I mean, now this year, we are improving more the skin replan because I've seen patients like coming more direct to me. Like the patient has not seen a dentist for a while. So looking up for on internet, on search, Google, YouTube or Rumble, whatever, they're finding me. And they're coming in without skin replan. So it's a little bit off. I mean, different this year, but basically my perio department is really, really interesting. Okay, Lynn, because of that.
Yeah, it is unique. It is unique because you are getting a more advanced patient, and you're going to be more on the side of prevention or maintenance post bigger procedure when it comes to the health of their gums. Whereas a GP is going to try to, they're getting people before they go to the periodontist most of the time. I think the biggest obstacle there is, am I approval addicted? Do I have fear of rejection, or am I willing to, sell the condition to this patient so they understand they have perio and they enroll in periodontal disease instead of doing a super prophy? I think that's a big no-no and needs to be addressed in dentistry in general. So, yeah. Okay.
One thing is different on general practice. It's most of the time when you have a new patient, correct me if I'm wrong, most of the new patients, they go direct to the hygiene department anyways.
Depends on the practice.
Depending on the practice.
Yep.
My case, the new patient obviously going to come to me first anyways.
Yeah.
So one thing's different because I have to let the patient know why they're coming to see me. I mean, most of you guys already tell the patient what's going on, so they kind of know why they're coming to see me. In your practice, if you have two people, a doctor and a hygienist, telling the patient something's wrong in their mouth, they heard twice.
Second opinion, yeah.
I'll be just a third opinion that pretty much they already heard the other two anyways. So I'm just gonna be the third one. On my case, it's a little bit tougher because I have to let them know as first hand, say, okay, you're here because you have period disease. Oh, but my doctor never told me. Yeah, when was the last time you saw your doctor? 4 years ago.
Things have been changing, right? Things have been changing. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so, and we get that a lot on the GP side too, where when was the last time when was the last time you saw a dentist? Oh, it's been at least 2 years. We know, double it. It's been 4. They just only say 2 because they're too nervous to say 4. They're too embarrassed. So we treat it with kid gloves. We have a lot of verbal skills to help with that. Permission statement, over here psychology, 95-5 rule, testing the buy-in. All of these things play a role in comfortably selling the condition of the patient so that they're turning to Shelly and saying, what do I need to do to fix this? Turning to Lynn and saying, I didn't realize my gums were that unhealthy. What do I need to do to fix this? I just was working with a client and they were telling me the story where the patient turned and said, wow, so you're saying I have gum disease? Like she knew, she said periodontal. She goes, you're saying I have periodontal disease? She actually used that terminology. She had know what's going on. And it helped. It helped that the patient had some awareness, but the dental team members got to get them there. We can't be afraid to diagnose with the patient. So other questions? Anybody else want to unmute themselves and ask us some numbers questions? My numbers are this, my numbers are that. I will say this is, all right, I don't want anybody throwing tomatoes at the Zoom screen here. I want all of my dentists, okay? I mean, I think team members should make a great income in dentistry too. I think we're a little frustrated with inflation, prices going up, but I want to pay people the best possible to have the best people on my team. So in order to do that, I need to be able to produce and collect as much as possible. So $1 million model is our basis for any practice. If we're not producing and collecting $1 million for our 4-day-a-week practice, then there's room for us to help, obviously. But I want those practices. That means that dentist has access to $300,000 a year of income. Now you might be paying loans, you might be running a company vehicle through that, you might be paying cell phones, whatever it is, buying the building, I don't care. But you have access to $300,000 annual minimum. If you're not earning that kind of money, then get a mentor, come see us, talk to Carla, whatever it is, we want to help you because you are an important person in our community. People are relying on their health from you, right? If you're stressed at your life at home, you cannot be as focused on your patient as you want to be. We want to relieve that stress and make sure you're getting a fair income. I don't want to gouge patients. I don't want to charge $3,000 a crown. That's not what we're suggesting. I think our average crown fee is like, what, $1,500, Shelly? Just somewhere in that range, So pro fees are Lynn, 115 to 125-ish across the country. So we're not trying to do things nuts or crazy. We're trying to make sure patients are getting healthier, therefore practice getting healthy, therefore our doctors are getting paid a healthy income. Seeing the study out there that says dentists' average income is $154,000 a year, average, concerns me. Now that's reported income. So maybe we're being smart with our taxes and all those sorts of things. That's why I say access to 300,000. So if you're not in that range, I don't need you to admit that here on a study club, but I want you to think about that and say, well, what do I need to do to change my KPIs to get to that place? Because you deserve that. That is something that you absolutely deserve as a dentist. Top 2 most respected people in our community. So I'll throw that out there at the risk of people maybe saying that's too much or what have you, or maybe that's not enough. So I have Shelly and I actually share a client and it's a 2-doctor practice. They do $1 million a quarter. So they're open 5 days a week. They're not gouging patients or anything. They're just doing a lot of full mouth dentistry, a lot of implant, all on 4 type stuff. And they're just doing it really, really well. There's some chaos there. That's why we're helping them. Sometimes it's not about the money, sometimes it's about the system. So all right. Questions, other things that we can talk about today? I will say this. Maybe you don't want to ask a question here. Our names, Lynn, Shelly, Eric, at allstardentalacademy.com. Just send us an email. You can CC Dr. Paris on it if you want. You don't have to, but we would be happy to talk with you, get you on the phone with Lynn if you have questions about your hygiene department, get you on a Zoom with Shelly and talk about your overall practice management. I can talk to you about leadership and numbers if you want. We're here for you. We have a big team. I saw Alex jumped on a bit ago. Our fearless leader, Alex Nottingham, even joined. I don't know, Carlos, if you saw him jump in, but that was nice of him to say hi. So
I allow him to come in.
You were like, yeah, I'll let you in. I'll let you in. The gatekeeper said yes. Yep. So we have tons and tons and tons of resources for you. If you go to Dental All-Stars for a podcast, if you go to All-Star Dental Academy on YouTube, if you go to our website, allstardentalacademy.com, you will see free content that will support your team. You can have team meetings to it. You can start seeing what we offer and how we support teams. We're working with over 100 clients. Well, we're close to 100 clients, coaching clients right now. We work with over 300 clients monthly in all the things that we do. We have the top second most popular dental podcast right now. So we put a lot of great content out there for people to get value from. We have no problem giving information away for free like we did tonight to support the dental community. We know there's a lot of great people who need support, and we're here to do that. And we especially do this because we want to thank Dr. Paris for being just a loyal client of ours and support his clients who support him. So that's why we do this for him, and make sure that the law of reciprocity, I guess, giving a gift, right? Giving a gift out there. That's what we're doing. So
thank you all for coming in, actually, for, just have your time for tonight. I know that it's at the end of the day, we just want to, open our bottle of wine, cheese. I still work tomorrow anyways, but yeah.
Is the cheese for your mouse?
No, it's for me.
Ratatouille.
This mouse over here is gonna suffer.
That's awesome. Yeah, some wine and cheese.
So I can see your rat every time.
Love it. Well, I know there's probably questions, and I know there's some hesitancy to be vulnerable in a public setting. So just message us, just send us an email. We are here for you. You can even message Dr. Paris and let us know. And as far as next meeting, we've already got that set up, right? For this, Dr. Paris, we've got what?
That'll be for October. Let me just get here. It's Thursday, last Thursday of the month.
Yeah, October 26th.
October 26th. Actually, that time is going to be 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, an hour later. Yep, I got that.
It's going to be 1 hour later than today. So it'll be 8 o'clock.
Yep. And we kind of stole some of that topic for today because I wanted to get everybody thinking this way. But we'll do some follow-up on KPI that time. And I will say this, if you have a struggle, just message it, Dr. Paris. We'll make that the topic for our study club next time.
Yep. So far, we can talk about KPI. Also, we can talk about payment arrangement. Yep. So that's one thing that we just brought up today. So we can talk about that.
Yeah, that's a great topic. All right. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's great seeing you guys, everybody that's been on here. Have a great evening. I'll hang out for a couple minutes in case someone wants to sit tight.
All right. So have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate you.
Bye. Thank you.